Sometimes when we look at puzzles or other types of problems, we're told to think out of the box so that we might be able to solve them. This technique seems to be a solution finder for questioning conundrums, but what is the meaning behind this general and well-known rule of thumb? What is this so-called box and where does it come from? And how does thinking out of it give us something to rely on? You see, the answer has been revealed to me, quite interestingly, and would it make sense to you if I said the complexity is found in its simplicity? Thinking out of the box helps us to solve problems that are full of complexity by reminding us to pay attention to the problem's simplicity. So basically, the problem's so simple, it's complex. Make your mind muscles flex over this reality check. A lot of us are hesitant to explore the abyss of these depths, but yet we need to in order to figure out why Jesus has already paid the price, and yet we continue to live as if we're in debt. See, we tend to miss out on simplicity, and ironically, thinking out of the box makes us think more intensively to try and understand the simplicity. Now this might be a hard concept to understand, but you might have to think out of the box to comprehend the master plan. It'll all come together in time. So in this design, by the end of my rhyme, I pray that you discover the meaning behind every line. But let's move on and get to this box that has my focus locked. I believe the box represents a universally understood pattern of thought. A pattern revolving around the usual response. It's the so-called common thought that establishes the box. And see, as Christians, we have established our own box. We have our own universally understood pattern of thought, and honestly, it's like a sickness that we have all caught. The lies we have bought, and for the lies we have fought. Now, what lies might be in our box, you might say? Pay attention as I tell you in this way. As Christians, we tend to overcomplicate things, and we close our eyes to the trouble that this brings. We can keep our eyes closed as we continue to sing, but it seems like we just treat Jesus as if he's our spring fling. Keep him with us when we need him like he's our bling bling, but ignore him when we are behind closed doors because we no longer have that strong emotional feeling that church can bring. See, we might not agree, but think about how you measure your spirituality. If it's about what you achieve or whether or not you succeed, then congratulations, you can officially call yourself a Pharisee. Check that off your list of good deeds because you have just reached the status of what was considered to be most holy. But that's such a fallacy. Becoming most holy by effort, thinking that nothing can bring you down. So certain that this makes you heaven bound, but how long will you climb that ladder before you realize it's laying on the ground? See, we can't get anywhere with this mindset, but yet we still tend to measure how good we are by qualifications met. More of the poison we inject as we continue to wipe our faces with those dirty rags and ask if we are clean yet. Is that what you expect? See, the truth is we're missing it. It's because we're forming our own personal Jesus that we are each comfortable with. Putting them on like a shirt that doesn't fit. We try to change the size so that we can actually feel like we are worthy of it. Now this isn't judgment, I'm just trying to help explain what Jesus' death meant. Now if you think this is just a call to go to church more, then you're still missing it. We all try to hide the fact that we each have to submit, and we take one step forward and 2 steps back every time we try to deny it. Is this all because it's inconvenient? It's like we tell God to let it rain, but yet we refuse to stand out in it. I bet the rich young ruler wishes he would have been a little more resilient. But how would you, or how could you, answer this question? What makes you a Christian? If you start by listing your qualifications, then you have a shifting foundation. Just hiding the cracks in the wall by repainting. You've been captured by a false elation, and this is part of the broad road that leads to devastation. Take that list of qualifications up to God on Judgment Day, and he'll say he never knew you without any hesitation. Please understand what I'm saying. This is my plea, that we can stop ignoring the simplicity. It doesn't matter all the good we think we do, because the narrow way is paved with humility. It's undeserved grace given freely. I can still picture Nicodemus scratching his head, thinking, how can it really be this easy? But you're not going to make it by your ability or your chivalry. So take a second to observe your own spirituality and tell me what you see. What I see is that we become so heavy laden with spiritual ceremony that we keep forgetting that Jesus said his yoke is easy. If your yoke isn't easy, then whose yoke are you carrying? Yes, we all have a work to complete. But how can you get to the right door without the right key? You can keep knocking away all you want, but it'll prove to be futility. So finally, I'll end by saying this. The box of Christianity has been established and Jesus is no longer a part of it because our own thoughts and our own ways form the very edges of it. We continue to fill it with everything we think should be in it. Now I hope you're grasping this. It's like we're molding him into our image instead of letting him mold us into his. We perform good deeds out of our own obligation, out of our own selfishness, and the writer of Ecclesiastes would agree with me when I say that all of this is meaningless. So my conclusion is this. The box has been established, and Jesus is no longer a part of it. I believe we must pray that God renew our minds because he is trying to get us to start thinking out of it.